And welcome to another edition of Ask 9. I'm Jim Mertens, and Becky Phelps has the evening off. And we're getting ready for the State of the Union address, which will be coming up at 8 o'clock our time, just 2.5 hours from now. It's always a major address that lays out the politics and the agenda for the president for the coming year, but also is a chance for the administration to list its accomplishments over the last year. It has become somewhat a contentious address sometimes, with the president facing opposing political parties in the House chamber, and sometimes it's become a little more raucous than it has been in the past. If you may remember, last year, President Trump gave an address when he was marking his 100th day in office, and a member of the Democratic Party had rose to challenge the president's statements, and he was escorted out and later censured by the House for his comments. Right now, we're being told that House Democrats are being told to either not attend or at least to have a silent protest, if any protest at all. This has become an annual address that has really large ramifications, not only for the president's agenda, but if you think about it, it really sets the stage a lot of times for the upcoming midterm elections. The country really at a crossroads, also celebrating 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and the Trump administration is making sure that the American independence is celebrated this year through a number of different ways. Before today's speech, Caroline Leavitt, who is the White House press secretary, was able to talk to members of the media to give us kind of a preview of what we can expect tonight.
I know the president's really looking forward to his address tonight. You're going to hear a speech that is a celebration of 250 years of our nation and our nation's independence. You're going to hear the president share the stories of everyday Americans who have benefited from his policies. You're going to hear the president share tear-jerking stories of American heroes, past and present, who really exemplify what it means to be a patriotic American. He'll obviously tout the administration's accomplishments over the past year, and he will, of course, lay out a very ambitious agenda, I think, for the working people of this country to make America more affordable and prosperous and safe, and make the American dream more attainable.
That is White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt talking about what we can expect in tonight's address. It has been a period of time where Congress really hasn't challenged the president in any way, shape, or manner over the past year. A lot of what's been done by this administration has been by executive order. A lot of that also being challenged in court, some of these cases going all the way to the Supreme Court, with Republicans pretty much in agreement with what the president has said and has been pretty much in lockstep backing of them. Even though the president has really demonstrated a preference, let's say, in order to expand executive power. I think that's an easy way to say it. And so we are really looking forward to finding out exactly what the president will speak about tonight. And we talked with KCRG TV9 Chief National Correspondent Peter Zampa a little bit about what we can expect not only from the president in his address tonight, but also what Democrats may do as well. This is my interview with him a little earlier, Peter Zampa in Washington, D.C. Well, the last time the president spoke to Congress was after his first 100 days. And that lasted 100 minutes. And he's saying this speech is going to be a long speech. What can we expect?
Yeah, look, if the president's saying it's going to be a long one, that means it's going to be a long one, Jim. And think about the whirlwind last year we've had. There's a lot to get to here from the president. He believes this is an opportunity to take a victory lap of sorts. And what are the policy issues that are going to be top of mind? Well, the economy is going to be his main push because, frankly, that's how Republicans think they can win if they are going to win when it comes to November and the midterm elections. Affordability. It's a word the president has been tossing around a lot lately. Frankly, in the last couple of days, he said, quote, he won affordability. Jim, there are still so many Americans out there who do not believe that to be true. They believe that it's still difficult to go to the grocery store, that the middle class is unattainable for so many Americans. So expect the president to try to touch on that in a convincing manner for those who still are not feeling it. Also, foreign policy as top of mind as you can remember at this moment. During his speech tonight, we are still going to be sitting on a knife's edge when it comes to the Middle East and a potential war with Iran. Also, this is landing exactly 4 years to the day after Russia carried out its invasion of Ukraine. And as we well know, that war continues despite the president's pledge to end that war quickly after taking office. And of course, one of his favorite policy priorities is border security. He maintains there's just about zero illegal immigration coming into this country right now. However, he's also going to have to tackle the delicate issue of immigration enforcement in this country and how we've seen it play out in a deadly manner, frankly, in many communities around this country. So a lot to get to tonight, Jim, but as you mentioned, buckle up. It's going to be a long one.
Well, not only a long one, it also sets up for the midterm elections and giving Republicans obvious areas to campaign on. And you bring up affordability, and the president saying he's winning that. One of the big initiatives is expected to be affordable housing. The Democrats offering a plan, of course, today, but the president expecting to really talk about that as well during the State of the Union.
Yeah, Jim, frankly, he has to, because we know what the margins are in that building behind me right now. They are as tight as it gets, especially in the House of Representatives. If he wants to be able to push any big ticket items on his agenda for the last 2 years of his term, he is going to need to start tonight. He is going to need to propel his conference, his party forward, and give them a message to bring on the campaign trail. Presidents often get a nice little boost in approval ratings after State of the Union addresses. However, his approvals right now are very, very low. So can he use this opportunity tonight to convince people that he is working toward that affordability the affordable prices when it comes to housing at the grocery store, energy prices? It is going to start tonight.
Well, and not only is he seeing a decline in polls, he's also suffering some setbacks, most notably last week by the U.S. Supreme Court in regards to his sweeping tariffs. The president then issuing a 15% global tariff that's now been 10% actually in actuality on Monday. So, I mean, there's still a question about how these tariffs are going to pan out, and that impacted not only the U.S. economy, but also his political stature here and abroad.
Jim, it does. And how he tackles that particular issue will be interesting tonight, because what did the Supreme Court say? They say he was acting unlawfully because he did not have the assistance of the 435 members in the House of Representatives and the 100 senators in the Senate, because they can't agree on a tariff policy altogether. They know they cannot get that done. So the president is moving forward unilaterally. Yes, it was a setback in front of the Supreme Court, but he mentioned immediately after that decision, he has a number of other statutes to fall back on, including the 15% one that you just mentioned from the 1974 trade law. He is going to continue with this policy, no matter how unpopular it might be for a large portion of Americans around the country. So don't expect him to back down on that effort here tonight.
The other question is, what will Democrats do? Of course, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is asking members to either not attend or do some silent defiance, which is different than what happened last year. What do you expect from the Democrats in the chamber?
Well, look, the minority party often gives that pseudo lecture to their members. Be on your best behavior for this. It's the president of the United States. Let's protest with policy decisions. Let's actually not do the performative stuff. Let's do something substantial. But last year, they had a similar speech, and we still saw a member of the House escorted out of the chamber. So, yes, there are a number of Democrats who will not be in attendance tonight, but I don't think you're going to necessarily see the silence on the Democratic side of the aisle this evening, unless something drastically changed from last year to this year. However, we know tensions are as high as they can possibly get around a lot of issues. We're in the middle of a government shutdown right now, a partial government shutdown, but it's on an issue that's really delicate for a lot of people when it comes to immigration enforcement. So tensions are very high. Democrats are not happy with this president. We'll see if they stay silent like their minority leader is asking for, but we know there are a lot of characters and a lot of unhappy Democrats on that side of the aisle.
And outside the chamber, the Democrats will be having their response. Of course, that's traditional now, but also there's going to be a progressive address and also an address in Spanish by the Democrats. And a lot of Democrats will be attending what's being called the People's State of the Union, to be held near the Lincoln Memorial. So there's a lot going on tonight that adds to the president's address.
It does. And I think the Democrats, naturally, their main focus is on their official rebuttal, if you can call it that. And that's from Governor Abigail Spanberger, because she just won a historic election last year. She won a difficult race for governor in this purple state of Virginia by the widest margin we've seen a Democrat win that state in quite some time. They view her as that moderate voice, not necessarily going to be bomb throwing or using vitriol to get her point across, not a progressive member, but someone who can talk about those kitchen table issues, namely affordability. What is the Democratic plan to push affordability forward? Why should they vote for Democrats to get into office to help out with those pocketbook issues and immigration issues and foreign policy issues? That is what they're hoping to get out of their moderate response from Abigail Spanberger tonight.
And once again, State of the Union, there's stagecraft that's involved in this. The U.S. men's hockey team, the U.S. women's hockey team, both getting invitations. The women are declining, the men saying they'll be there. I mean, these are key moments to the president's address.
They are key moments, and it shows you where his thinking is at any given moment. You'll have them. You'll have a number of other folks. We understand Erica Kirk will be in attendance tonight. That's another flashpoint over the last year for the president to point to. We've also, we understand that we'll have the family of a National Guard member who was shot and killed here in Washington, D.C. Her family expected to be in attendance. So all of these things he can make a nod to, some of it emotional, some of it exciting, like the hockey team, as you mentioned. But it really shows you how he's trying to weave these guests throughout his address.
And also the families of two of the Iowa National Guards members that were killed in the Middle East as well. Is this going to be more style than substance? You know, this is a fiery president who's always looking forward to a fight.
Well, that's always the question. Is President Trump going to stay on message? And if history tells us anything, not necessarily. Certainly not the whole time. He likes to go in different directions in speeches like this. But again, Jim, when the president tells you he's going long, we're going to see all of it.
Peter Zampa reporting for us, as you saw outside the U.S. Capitol building. He has been covering national issues for great TV stations, including us, for a number of years. The president is expected today, saying that it will be a long speech. He says he has a lot to talk about, so we will find out just how long of a speech he will be giving tonight. Now, once again, we do want to point out that the Iowa delegation will be in attendance at the State of the Union. Senator Joni Ernst and Representatives Ashley Hinson and Zach Nunn will be bringing family members of the fallen Iowa National Guard soldiers as guests. I want to remind you that it was Staff Sergeant Edgar Torres Tovar, Nate Howard, who were killed in Syria last December, giving their lives, and are going to be honored by the Iowa delegation to Congress. So that is what we're expecting from the Iowa delegation. Of course, we'll be hearing from their reaction as well later. So once again, the State of the Union address and the Democratic response will be carried on ABC News, streaming on ABC News. Also, you can see it right here on TV 9. It starts at 8 o'clock. The graphic there says, of course, 9 o'clock Eastern, but 8 o'clock Central Time right here on TV 9. So please join us for that. And then afterwards, for KCRG TV 9 News at 10, we'll be talking to Megan Goldberg, who's our political analyst, in regards to breaking down a little bit about what this speech not only said to us, but also what it means for the future, of course. And we do want to remind you that if you ever have any questions, just message KCRG on Facebook or email us. Ask 9 is a program that we try to answer some of the questions and dig a little deeper into the stories of the day, and that's what we tried to do today. So we thank you once again for joining us for Ask 9. We want you to continue watching us not only online, but on the air. We'll have continuing coverage tonight on KCRG TV 9. Thanks so much for joining.